At exactly 3 o'clock every Tuesday afternoon, when Silverwood Memorial Cemetery slipped into a rare stillness and even the birds seemed to quiet their wings, Evelyn Brooks paused at the tall iron gates, her perfectly tailored coat unmoving despite the breeze, her expression composed in the way only people who had learned to hide pain behind discipline could manage, because at 63 she had mastered boardrooms, negotiations, and headlines as one of the most powerful real estate tycoons in the state, yet nothing, not the wealth, not the recognition, not the sprawling estate waiting silently for her, had ever prepared her for the absence left behind by her daughter Claire, who had died 3 years earlier in a sudden accident that shattered Evelyn's world in a single phone call, and every Tuesday since, without fail, she returned to this place at the exact same hour, when the cemetery was emptiest, because grief was easier when there were no witnesses. But that day something felt different before she even reached the path, a strange unease tightening in her chest as she walked toward Claire's grave, until she finally saw it. Someone was already there, kneeling beside the headstone, a man in a janitor's uniform, his shoulders slumped as if carrying a weight far heavier than cleaning supplies, and beside him a little girl no more than 5 years old, her yellow sweater bright against the gray stone, her small hands folded tightly in her lap, both of them crying so quietly. It almost felt intrusive to notice, and for a long moment Evelyn simply stood frozen, disbelief turning into anger, because that space was sacred, untouched, hers, and she quickened her pace, heels striking stone sharply, her voice cutting through the silence when she finally spoke, demanding to know why they were there, her tone sharper than she intended, edged with authority and grief, and the man looked up in panic, rising quickly, apologizing again and again, clearly prepared to leave. Without argument, while the little girl clung to his leg as if afraid the ground might disappear beneath her, but then Evelyn saw what stopped her mid-sentence. Fresh flowers, simple white daisies placed carefully at the base of the headstone, flowers she had not brought, flowers someone else had chosen, and beside them a child's drawing, its edges worn, showing figures holding hands under a rainbow, and suddenly the anger drained from her, replaced by confusion, then suspicion, then something far more unsettling, because someone else had been remembering her daughter, someone she didn't know, and when Evelyn asked how they knew Claire, the man hesitated as if weighing whether the truth would be welcomed or rejected, finally introducing himself as Lucas Miller, his voice low, explaining that Claire was the kindest person he had ever met, words that struck Evelyn harder than any accusation could have, because hearing her daughter described with love by a stranger reopened a door she had kept tightly shut, and when Lucas began to speak, slowly, carefully, about nights spent cleaning hospital floors, about a wife named Emily fighting cancer with no insurance and no safety net, about a nurse who stayed long after her shift ended, who read aloud when Emily was too weak to speak, who laughed with her when laughter felt impossible, Evelyn realized with a sudden ache that she had known only part of her daughter. And the story deepened when Lucas admitted that Claire had discovered he couldn't afford childcare, that his little girl Hannah spent nights alone in hospital waiting rooms while he worked, and without ever asking permission or praise, Claire stepped in, bringing books and crayons, turning fear into comfort, loneliness into routine, and when Hannah shyly held up a worn stuffed rabbit and repeated Claire's words about love never disappearing, Evelyn felt something shift inside her, because the toys she once found in Claire's apartment, items she never understood, suddenly told a story she had never been told, and when Lucas quietly revealed that Emily had passed away just weeks before Claire's fatal accident, that they had not attended the funeral out of fear they didn't belong, and instead came here in silence to say thank you, Evelyn realized the cruel irony. While she mourned alone in luxury, others mourned her daughter with gratitude and memory. And the true suspense settled not in shock but in realization, because Evelyn had come to the grave, expecting solitude and found instead a hidden legacy, a family her daughter had built quietly, lovingly, without permission or acknowledgement. And as weeks passed and Tuesdays transformed into shared meals, shared stories, laughter echoing again through Evelyn's empty home, the story revealed its final truth. Not that grief disappears, but that it changes shape, that kindness echoes forward, and that sometimes the greatest twist of all is discovering that what we lost also left something behind. Because the lonely billionaire who came searching for her daughter did not leave empty-handed, she left with a new family, a deeper understanding of love, and the haunting realization that Claire's greatest gift was not her life, but what she planted in others after she was gone, reminding us that family is not defined by blood, wealth, or titles, but by the quiet acts of kindness that continue long after the world thinks the story has ended.